Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about public goods, which are a special type of good that, the name suggests, are provided for the public. And so often they're best provided by government, which, if you think about it, most goods like hamburgers, books, couches are best provided by the free market. There are some exceptions, but most of the time the free market is the best way to go. But with public goods, there are a few key problems that make it very difficult for them to be provided by the free market, and so oftentimes they are provided by government and should be provided by government. Also, they're the one thing that the majority of people agree that the government should pay for. There's a lot of debate over what the government should spend its money on, but public goods are one of the few things that most people agree on. So what is a public good? Well, it's a good that has two key properties, one being non-excludable and the other being non-rivalrous. Now, those are technical terms. Non-excludable means that it's very difficult to stop people who haven't paid for the good from using it and from benefiting from it. Now, you think of a normal good, like, say, a hamburger. If you buy a hamburger, nobody else benefits from it. You buy the hamburger and you get to consume it yourself. Whereas if you pay for, say, a sidewalk, because you want to use the sidewalk, other people who also walk on the sidewalk, it's very difficult to charge them money for it, right? Or a road, for example. You pay for a road because you want a road built and you want to be able to benefit from it. Well, it's very difficult to exclude other people who haven't paid for it from using it. This is the concept of free riders in economics. People who haven't paid for something but still benefit from it. And so there isn't much incentive for people to pay for it, right? Why pay for something when you can just be a free rider and get it for free? The second property of public goods is that they are non-rivalrous, which means that if one person uses it, it doesn't hurt or hinder another person from using it again. Again, go back to the example of sidewalks. One person walking on a sidewalk, it doesn't hinder a second person from walking on that same sidewalk. Another example, again, is roads, right? Many people can use the same roads at the same time. Now, an important property of non-rivalrous goods is that the marginal costs of production are very low or zero. So again, going back to roads, if you have already built a system of roads, let's say for 10,000 people, well, if you want to add another 1,000 people onto that, you probably don't have to build a whole ton more roads. You can almost use the same system, but let's say instead that you're providing televisions for 10,000 people, and you want to provide television for an additional 1,000 people. Well, you'll have to pay for those 1,000 extra televisions, right? It's a little bit cheaper, but you do have to still pay for the items, and it is a bunch of extra cost. Okay, so those are the two key properties. Non-excludable, meaning it's hard to exclude people who haven't paid, free riders, and non-rivalrous, which means the marginal cost of producing it is very low. Now, I mentioned sidewalks and roads and a couple other things. Here are a few more examples of public goods, right? Fresh air. The government spends money in order to keep the air relatively clean, right? But can you imagine if it was a free market thing? If every person who wanted fresh air had to pay for it? Well, let's say two people are walking along, one person paid for the fresh air, another person didn't. Well, how would you somehow give fresh air to only the person who paid? It would be almost impossible, or basically impossible. Also, if you're paying for fresh air for one person, you pretty much have to pay for fresh air for an entire city. You can't have just a small place where there's fresh air and then everyone else is polluted, right? So that's the non-rivalrous part. Marginal cost is very low. And again, that before was the non-excludable part. Another example is military defense. This is one that gets talked about all the time. Let's say that military defense was offered on the free market, and so you paid for your house to be defended from, let's say, enemy aircraft, foreign aircrafts, right? From bombs or whatever. But your neighbor, your house next door, didn't, right? They want to save the money. It's not a threat, whatever. How would a military defense system protect your house, but not the house right next door, right? It's almost like if the person bombed next door, they would almost bomb your house. So either your house would not be protected, or the military defense system would just protect your entire neighborhood, in which case you paid for it, but your entire neighborhood benefits. And so that's kind of, again, the free rider problem that comes with non-excludable goods. And non-rivalrous, again, if you pay for the military to protect one house, it almost costs no more to pay for the entire city or the entire country or whatever, right? Okay, so with all of these examples, you'll notice that they're all provided by the government. And this is one of the essential functions of government. It's to help individuals in a society cooperate to pay for things that individuals on their own couldn't do. And so taxpayers pay into the system, and they get out all of these public goods of roads, sidewalks, and all of this, etc. Okay, so we're near the end of the video, and a lot of the stuff that I mentioned here about public goods and the information and examples I got from this book right here called Naked Economics. Let's see if I can get the lighting right. And despite the kind of awkward title, basically it's like stripping down economics to the basic information that you need to know. And so this is just one of the many chapters. I found it was a pretty good book. It gives you a good summary of all the different aspects of economics without being complicated, without having numbers and stuff. So yeah, if you're looking for kind of a very basic, bare bones economics book, then I recommend this one. There are actually a whole bunch of them. If you Google sort of basic economics, there's one called Economics in One Lesson that I haven't read yet. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I make more videos in the future.